Here we are with John Dreyer. I thought it'd be nice to get a little history of the architecture here at Dreyer Farms and hear a little bit from the man behind the farm, how he grew up and what it used to be like when he was a little boy. So John's going to take us on a little tour.
Okay.
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right. So right now, if you don't know, we're right on Springfield Avenue. We're going to try to not get hit by a car across from Nomahegan Park. So
Walking toward the college.
So is this the walk that you would take? We know where you grew up, right by the farm stand, where the parking lot.
In the parking lot.
Yeah.
Correct.
And now where are we walking?
We're walking toward Union County College.
And what would have been here?
Just open fields. Actually, we have a picture of my father and grandfather planting lettuce in the field that is Penn Road. It was right on Penn Road. And then this is where the farmhouse was, right on my left. This is where my father was born, and it was about a 4-bedroom house. It had the old coal stove. When I was little, they still had coal, and they had a big kitchen with long tables because at lunchtime all the help would come in and have lunch at the same table. And as we go down this way toward the entrance of Union College, we're going to come to the entrance to the old farm.
So where Union County College is now, that was all fields?
It was all, no. There were 2 farms. Starting basically at the driveway, the entrance of Union County College, going north on Springfield Avenue toward the boulevard, was my great uncle's farm. And then from Union College entrance south, going toward Cranford, it was my grandfather's farm, and his farm stopped at the brook, which is no longer a brook because they rerouted the brook to go through Union College and into the park, into Nomahegan Park. Okay, this would pretty much be the driveway. I don't think this is not the original driveway because the original driveway was made out of cement. This was a little bit of an open area, and starting about here was the barn. The barn consisted of 4 stalls. We used to have 2 horses and 2 cows, and then on top was the hay loft, and on the left side of the barn was called the market shed, the market house, and that's where you went in and you brought the vegetables in and washed them, put them in crates, and got them packed up to take to markets. We were originally, in 1904, we were wholesalers. We were called a truck farm. We would grow our product and truck it to a market. We went to Elizabeth, we went to Newark, and anywhere anybody would buy it.
And how old were you when you were doing all that?
When that was all going on, I wasn't born yet.
So who was doing that?
My grandfather and his 3 sons.
And their names?
My father was Henry, he was the oldest. Then Gus was the next oldest, and Eddie was the youngest.
Okay, and now you said the barn. What were the horses' names?
Dolly was a draft horse, which means it pulled the equipment in the field, and Arab was a riding horse that you could ride.
Wow! And you rode Arab?
I did. She was there when I was there. Okay, and here we have a dumpster. After the barn, there was a little open space where we used to put all our crates and bushel baskets that they used to bring into the market house, which was right next door, and pack the vegetables to load on the truck to take to the market. How it worked was my grandfather was the one who took the stuff to market. He'd stay there, he'd get there about 6 o'clock at night, stay all through the night and sell whatever he had, or tried to sell whatever he had. Then before he came home, he would call up, which would be about 7 o'clock in the morning, and say, corn was good, corn sold well today, spinach is doing really good, don't cut too much lettuce because that didn't bring any money. And then my father and his 2 brothers, and we did also have men working here, would go out in the field and cut the stuff to get it ready. And then my grandfather would come back, go to sleep, basically get up again, load the truck, and do the same thing over. That was 5 days a week because the markets were not open on Saturday and Sunday.
The corn that you used to grow, was it still the same that we grow now, the Providence? I know that's your favorite.
Yeah, no, they have different varieties back here. Then there was Seneca Chief, Merritt, Iowa Chief. Most of the corn varieties came out of the Midwest because they were the bigger corn growers. And then after the place where the crates were, there was another building here which housed the tractors. And we only had like 2 tractors because we were still using horses, or a horse, for most of the equipment. And then this was a road. The road from the street actually kept on going and went straight out into the fields. And we had fields on the right, fields on the left. On the right, over on this side, obviously the right, was a big rhubarb field when I was a kid. Okay, and over here there were some what they call outbuildings, which are the buildings away from the barn. Right here was a corn crib. And a corn crib is a tapered building like this, but it was maybe 15 feet wide, a door in the front and a walkway through, and then they would take the corn and dump it down on each side of the building, and the taper would force the corn to the middle, and then every time you needed corn to feed the chickens or pigs, you just go in, open the door, and pick the corn out. But it always had wire around it because rats were very prevalent, and they would go through and eat the corn on you. So they'd bring the corn in. They had a pulley system outside that would take the corn up, and then they dumped it through the floor of the second story and to both sides, and then as they needed, they would open the sides about waist high and then pull the corn out.
When do you remember, like, the animals? Like, at what age were you? Remember?
My grandfather sold the farm when I was like maybe 9 or 10. But there was the next, past the corn crib, this was another, just a little shed, but this didn't have tractors. This had all the equipment, the tilling equipment, the plows and stuff like that they would use out in the fields. On the back side of this building was the pig pen, and we always had like 4 or 5 pigs, and that's what and pigs were great because they would like basically eat anything. So you could just, they used to bring garbage in like Secaucus. That's why there were so many pig farms, because they'd bring all the garbage in out of New York City to feed the pigs.
When you said you were 9 when your dad sold your grandfather, I'm sorry, sold the farm.
Correct.
You're talking about the animals? Is that what you're saying, or? No,
the animals were all here when they still.
Oh, so at what age were the animals kind of
when
gone?
He sold it.
Okay. All right.
When I was not,
Yeah.
Once there was no need for them,
And what year was that?
56 maybe.
Wow.
56, 57. But I'm one of the few people that still lives around here that's milked a cow.
You mean milked a cow?
Yeah.
Here in Cranford?
Yeah, so.
That's crazy. All right, John.
And after, just one quick
Okay, sorry.
After all of that, this was where the chicken coop was. That chicken house was here, and then they had a wire fence all around, and they would throw in clam shells, and the chickens would peck at the clam shells, I guess, to get the calcium, and it would make the eggs harder. So.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was.
And what you had told me before we did this, what was the name of the road where all the cornfield was back then? Over
Brown Terrace.
Brown Terrace. That was
most
all
of the corn on Brown Terrace.
That's crazy. All right, this is the first of hopefully another series. I know it's hard to get John away from the store, but I know you guys all love hearing the history of our town and our farm. Thanks so much, John. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.